Momsy!
Lobby as far as Pete goes, but they can take out Pollo and continue to leave this duo just incredibly weak throughout the early game, and just like that, Momsy's finally going to be able to close things out. Skyjump.
Montrez le fight. Chill. Nice, attention, se prend une belle balle. Nice, Moms, levez-nous, allez. Nice. 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 Voilà. Voilà. On est là! Yes! Come on!
They're in the lobby right now, just starting to prepare and warm up. The competition surely is fierce here for the group stage B. You've seen a lot so far, and this EWC 26 has not disappointed at all.
Still doing a great job at concealing his position out of sight, out of mind from the rest of the lobby. A little bit of Fizz to work with too, but Acorn now also left to contend as a solo. But it's going to be Rapid and Cold who ultimately commit to height and take it over.
The old man's mountain will get its toll. Here it is, that indestructible vertical climb is too difficult for many duels. They're getting put in the blender. Another team ends up shocking wave up. It's Vazen and Anon, but he falls right back down. The Cypher team can be in the game for now. Meanwhile, Scroll still alive. A top 10, a top 9, and still going here.
This is disgusting out of Scroll as a solo. Pixie on the same foot though, taking out Demish, holding on by a sliver here for Havoc, just barely making it into the zone. How does he manage to stay standing? The same question could be asked for Scroll, but now both of these players hoping somebody else looks elsewhere. It won't be the case though for Pixie. Scroll now dropping, forced to try and contend with anybody on low. Might even be a body for him to steal a little bit of loot off of, but now Cold and Rapid, this one is looking all twisted minds.
He's still down there, he's still fighting. Anon's in the game here, trying to look for anything possible, but I haven't seen Scroll fall just yet. Give it a little second though. Anon here, moving, mixing through the builds here. Iamzo's down, Scroll fighting for his life, but down he finally goes to the hands of Khan. That's gonna be 4 eliminations for this duo here. Now, just trying to get a little reset, still has plenty to work with in his zone. After he bounces back, Cold and Rapid have to come down. They are starting to slowly run out of material, but it depends where this is all gonna go. Skyjumps, Momsy gets a pop from the crowd. France is still in this one.
Absolutely nobody realized what Skyjump and Momsy were sneaking their way up towards the high ground, but it's BotCon, a little bit more time to work with. Cold and Rapid, a little bit more fixated on trying to contend with these other teams, but at the same time, they recognize we've got to at least take care of the solo.
25 en retard, mais ils vont récupérer, je pense. Non. Ah, viens. 56. Allez, ça avance, je décale, je te tu fais les kills. J'ai le kill, box. Tu viens. Ah, je suis mort. Je suis mort, peut-être. Non. Quelqu'un. Tu tues. Chill. Il va open. Mort. Nice. Let's go.
Even with they won't be able to stand tall. Skyjump and Momsy with the victory royale.
Skyjump and Momsy represent for their home here on land. What a performance for the duo. And then they get to just soak it all in. It doesn't get better than that from them. Even Cold and Rapid seem to be in healthy spirits there. What a fun game one, and a competitive one at that.
Yeah, and nothing for Cold to really be too pressed over. 8 eliminations by himself, another 2 from Rapid. So you know that they were able to definitely build up.
And I'm here with Skyjump and Momsy. Guys, congratulations. I'm gonna ask them some French question, of course, because we're in front of a French audience, but don't worry, I'm gonna translate for you. Première question. Bon, ça s'est plutôt bien passé. On dit souvent que pour un tournoi, il faut faire une bonne entrée en matière. Première game, top 1. Comment est-ce que tu te sens après cette première game?
Réussir la première game, qui est souvent la plus difficile, entre guillemets, c'est toujours un bon moyen de rentrer dans le tournoi. Surtout que c'est 10 parties, donc c'est pas une course, c'est un marathon. Faut gagner d'autres games.
So of course, winning the first map, I asked him how he feel about winning the first map, because of course in a tournament like that you have to be big at the beginning. He say it is the hardest game to win, so we're really happy to do it, but it's a marathon. We know we have other game to win, but it was a good way to start the tournament. There's a question for you, Momsy. So how are you doing now, like in front of the French crowd? What is the feeling like you heard them when you make this Victor Royale in the first games? How it is to play in front of the crowd? Do you like it, or you are a little bit under pressure? Donc la question que je te pose, c'est, vous avez gagné, t'as entendu le public exploser, je pense en même temps que vous quand vous avez pop-off. C'est plutôt stressant, plutôt, ça te fait plaisir. C'est quoi le ressenti de jouer devant un public français?
Franchement, au début, c'était un peu stressant quand je venais de rentrer. Après, passer les 5 premières minutes, directement, t'es dedans. Et dès qu'on a top 1, je sentais que voilà, c'était pour nous, quoi.
Of course, at the beginning it was a little bit intimidating when we entered the stage because there was so much noise. But after 5 minutes on the game and I just get to hit a lot of people, and I was like, I can feel when we have this first win, it is for us, and basically we own this. So guys, last question maybe, like, do you want to say something to the French crowd? Do you have like a message for them? Est-ce que tu as un petit message à passer à tous les fans français, que ce soit sur les streams ou aussi sur place, qui sont venus pour vous encourager?
En vrai, continuez, hein, le support, ça aide beaucoup en vrai les joueurs, les messages, etc. Continuez à faire du bruit et on va essayer de win pour vous. Hein.
He say, guys, continue. The message, the support you have for us is kind of insane, and every message you send on social media is helping a lot. So thank you. We're gonna do it for us, but we're gonna do it for you as well. Merci beaucoup les gars. Bonne chance pour vos games. Good luck for your games, guys. Have a good run, and hopefully you will make it to the top 7 for qualify. Back to you guys.
And earn a little more points. Swizzy, though, from that last game victory, now having to play this one out by himself. From one champion to another, he's in a tough spot here. 200 mats left, 100 mats left. Things are starting to thin out. Things are starting to look bad for them. Pressure coming in from all angles here from Momsy and Skyjump. And what a terrible zone pull, my gosh. It's going into the water. I hope you brought your swimsuit and your vest, because this one was so uncalled for.
Coyote and Yuma won't have any complaints just yet, though, but Sky, Scroll, they're ready to overtake. They're going to get a little bit chipped away at Force Shield, but Scroll immediately dropping, reuniting with Sky. With Swizzy so incredibly injured, only one build remains. He's going to be forced to play through the backside of zone, hoping that he's not on the receiving end of any big shots, but still, only a couple of overdrive grenades remain, and a whole lot of players in front of him as Coyote and Yuma just continue to assault these lower layers. Mini Pio and Fukuno, they could make things a little bit more interesting, but it's a big elimination duo. Swizzy, Pixie completely out of the picture. Cold and Rapid now have the chance to try and run away with it.
Yeah, I hope you didn't forget about them. They're still in this game. A lot of big names here. Kanata finds Salco in the feed there. Little friendly one-on-one action from one West duo to another. 2 elims now for Kanata. Victor V down to the low ground. They've had some excellent frontside rotations, really taking charge here. Look at Kanata making the calls as Victor's here to back him up. Meanwhile, up top, the full connection has come through. The picture coming together. This is looking like Coyote and Yuma's game to win. Talk about throwing your way back into the competition. We said it before. It is so close at the kind of bubble area here for the qualification positioning. Meanwhile, Gone falls, Knight falls, they're done it now. Fukuna and Mini Pollo, what can they do here? As they're trying to stay alive. SAUL faded, still in the game. Little big tags coming in though. It's going back and forth here. They're all out of gas though. Faded goes down. Khan now is left by himself.
Yeah, you can tell these players are just running on fumes right now. And Khan, what more has he got left in the tank? Trying to see if he can keep it pushing, but with Momsy Skyjump racking up elimination, but Momsy taken out, loses track of what's taking place right behind him, and Sky, unfortunately, will be forced to try and contend through the rest of this mess, all by his lonesome, still picking up the pieces after the fact. Elimination onto Salvatore, the Siphon gonna buy him a little bit more time, but he's running out of builds at a rapid rate, and no puns intended, because Cold and Rapid are running this lobby down.
That was big, and they just took down Victor V as well. 9 duos remaining here in the game. Couple solos kind of in the mix. Iamzo is one of those solos. No points earned on the eliminations just yet, but he's got decisions to make here. You have Spooks, Oatly putting pressure from up top. Shots are coming in. He gives up the layer, and he's just trying to survive here and go the distance. You blinked, and you missed it, though. Cold catches Kanata with a monstrous shot to keep him in the game now inside the top 8.
But Cold, will he even have a chance to try and restore some of his shield? He's just got to try and conceal his positioning for the time being. Spooks and Oatly still relatively healthy up above him, but Coyote and Yuma just haven't had anyone left to challenge them. They are way overhead, where everybody else in this lobby is currently sitting. Acorn and Bolts directly underneath. Spooks and Oatly still trying to get the job done, but with Coyote and Yuma just so solid far and away from the rest of the competition, the players are going to thin the lobby out for them.
this is actually insane, because if you think about it, coming into this, Oatly and Spooks were in 8th place. Coyote and Yuma were in 9th place. Sky and Scroll, well, they were out of the tournament altogether, and now Sky is still going. 2 elims for him back-to-back. Can he get a third? Doesn't matter. Top 5, though, is an excellent spot to be in. Oatly is playing so well himself. That's his 3rd elim in the endgame. Meanwhile, Acorn Bolts actually finding their footing down in the ultimate low ground. And Coyote and Zuma have finally given up that height. They're coming down for the win.
Finally, Skyjump's gonna get scouted out, but Coyote and Yuma, all they need is just to find where Bolts is at. It's going to be a little bit of a heal.
From Dignitas, who are out of this game already, and Knight and Gone from Furia, who have had a good start to the day as well.
Well, it's almost the perfect situation for Oatly and Spooks. They need to make the most of this game. It's going to be really difficult to outpace Sky and Scroll, but with a couple of the teams down below them, Invicta v Canada, Knight and Gone out of this game, all of these points are just going to be absolute bonuses for them. Honestly, just quite surprised at the fact we haven't seen that victory royale yet ready from Sky and Scroll. But like they say, they grow into the tournament. We saw it with Peterbot and Poyo, I suppose, to a greater extent. They won Game 1 on Slurp Rush, and of course won the last Elite Stronghold game as well. Ixie, though, unfortunately down to a solo. They were looking so good leading up to this endgame there, Jacob. They had really solid loadouts. They were looking really strong in so many aspects, and now Pixie's got to do it alone.
Yeah, and just one team needs to go down. Placement points will start to set in. At least half of them are around that top 8 marker, and so if Pixie can somehow, some way, find a way to solo his way to that spot, wouldn't necessarily be bad, but there's a lot of pressure being felt because you see kind of on his heels, Momsy Skyjump, they're there as well. They are positioned with a little bit of elevation, not necessarily on the full high ground yet, but they're giving themselves options, which is huge.
Yeah, it's important. Cold and Rapid as well. They always give themselves options in these end games. They're always putting themselves in really good positions just to stay super consistent. And all those eliminations are helping out as well. You can see Cole just holding onto those builds right there as Rapid tries to go on up. It's always a little bit dangerous because you do get looked at by so many of these different teams. So it was really important that they actually came out of there unscathed. Momsy and Skyjump, 7 eliminations for them so far. They have come to tear up the lobby. And the pressure from the French fans, the home crowd, has not got to them whatsoever, it seems like.
I think it's almost the opposite. They're fueling them this weekend. And honestly, you can see them peeking through the cone, grabbing crucial information. Probably seen Yassine Salvatore up above on the high ground. Yapko Panzer not too far off. And so they're just trying to check off boxes in terms of information before they make their rotation on over. Now we can get a look at the high ground. The bird's eye view, and this is where it does get dangerous for the teams in the backside of the zone that have to rotate on out. There goes Cold and Rapid. A couple shots are going to connect. More and more teams are becoming viable targets for them up above.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've invested so many of their builds right here, so much metal into this height take that there is going to be a team undoubtedly looking to try and take it from them. That's why Salvatore is looking towards that backside of zone. Yassine is going ahead. You can see Acorn and Bolts just trying to set themselves up in a good position. This is the danger though. Sky and Scroll, teams that have launch padding up into the air using that Flowberry Fizz as well. Height is never safe and sound, so you've almost got to look in 15 different directions when you're playing height. So a big test here for Salvatore and Yassine, who are looking to break into that top 7.
Yeah, especially depending on where the zone goes. They got priority for the actual steamy stacks just towards the north. But I just saw Oatly in the feed go down. Spook's going to be left by himself. No extra shields. He does have the med kit, but using it for 15 HP might not necessarily be the best play, especially since he might have to stagger himself in the backside of the zone. But top 15 teams remain here, which means placement points are starting to set in. But slow, that is for sure, and it feels probably like eons for these guys that are playing.
It absolutely is. I think all the attention goes on to Oatly when you look at this duo. I was speaking to Mr. Savage early. He said Oatly and his teammate. Didn't even mention Spooks. Spooks, it is your time to shine. Prove why you deserve to be on this stage, and quite literally qualify your team all the way through with a decent enough game here. It sets them up really nicely. I said it before though, Acorn and Bolt setting up really nicely for that high ground take. Salvatore and Yassine are not safe whatsoever. Bolts, Acorn, very wounded though, going up for this height. Decent amount of materials, trying to piece control the front side of Yassine, but they do the smart play and drop on down. Bolts and Acorn right now, no stranger to those high ground positions. They need to make it count here.
Yeah, Acorn was actually able to pick up the elimination, but you can see they're not able to reap the reward other than the points. Jojo Fishy down below is going to be taken down by Inact. Acorn's elimination finally gets cleaned up, and you see the zone is cutting back in their favor. That's going to save them a ton of materials, which is needed because you see only 5 left in the inventory of Bolts.
Spooks, what have you got? What are you made on? Let's test your metal. No eliminations for him so far. Fader getting into the box next door. He needs that elimination. Faded is so weak, he's not going to know that though. Down to 16 HP goes Spooks. Needs to hit a big damage shot. We're going to try and look for an opportunity to pop a mini at some point right here. Spooks looking to try and give some spooks to the rest of the lobby because he's in a desperate situation right now. You see Swizzy Pixie going down, Salco and Act going down as well, so that's going to hurt their chances of breaking out of that top or that bottom three. Scroll and Sky on their domain, both alive on low ground. This is where they can cook.
Yeah, we found and saw a bunch of players going down, but it's full teams that are figuring out a way to stay alive. Sky and Scroll just trying to take the front side of the zone. Spooks just trying to keep the miracle going, but it's Skyjump and Momsy that end their terror. Again, these guys have been picking up the pace all day long, but Sky and Scroll need it, not just for themselves, but for AGL overall.
And the bad news for Oatly and Spooks is that Sky and Scroll are making it far into this game. Fukun and Mini PO, these guys are looking very, very strong right now as well. Also inside of that top 7. Look at this, Skyjump and Momsy taking down our favorites going into the day. Sky and Scroll, the French guys on low ground, are looking to cause terror, which is exactly what they're doing, and they're moving their way through this low ground. They've taken out the low ground kings.
Time is definitely running out. Desperation starting to kick in for some. Bolts going down. Mini PO, Fukun, both getting taken down as well, but Rapid and Cold holding their ground. They got 1 elimination so far. They're trying to look for more. Darm Demons get separated. Skyjump and Momsy, 12 eliminations. These guys are on a roll.
An unstoppable force right now on low ground. They're looking to win game 1 of Slurp Rush as they did game number 1 of Elite Stronghold. These guys just break into the lobby, burst onto the scene every single time, and they're looking to do it again. They don't just want to qualify here, they want to win the entire event, but look who it is. Panzer and Yapko, they need a bit of a clutch right now. Not the ideal day for them so far. This is huge.
Yeah, but there's one solo running around, and that could be the difference maker of where they choose to go. Yapko Panzer still up above, using Shockwave to close the distance safely to try to reach the gal, but Skyjump, Momsy, they didn't really take any damage at all. On the flip side, though, Yapko Panzer did. That's why they're trying to create distance, make it harder for them to take a full shot. Cold with the heal off inside of the zone, whether he's fragging out or healing off, he just wants those extra points.
The French fans are heating up right now, as is Skyjump and Momsy. Big shot taken right there from Skyjump, but they do maintain this high ground. Unfortunately, they don't have the build. They got to tumble on down. Yapko down, Momsy down, and Skyjump and Momsy win in Paris again.
Another game when very few teams say they can win multiple games in person, but very few teams can say they did it in front of their hometown crowd. Cold staying alive long enough means maybe we don't see another first place team, but for Skyjump and Momsy, they're so close to guaranteeing their spot in finals. Push them, so Knight has no choice but to disengage, create distance, and stay alive here as a solo. But Spooks, Oatly, they also trying to join this fight. They need it as well. It may not be down to just a victory royale for them, so they need to combine with eliminations, but this definitely puts them in a tough spot. Spooks doing a good job from up above, landing a couple shots onto Momsy, but now he's in the palm of his hands. A couple of misses there for Spooks is going to allow for Momsy to finally clean that one up. Oatly is now going to be left by himself looking to survive.
Able to connect right now. Spooks goes down again. That's tonight. That's another team in the air. So Oatly desperately has to try and stay alive right now to keep his hopes of getting into that top 7 alive. And oh no, wow. Oatly down, but of course, it looks as though
with Sky and Scroll out of their path. We saw Kanata go down as well. Victor V might still be up, but Josh and Iamzo is the other team. They started this game in 7th place. They are literally on the line.
This is their time. Josh and Iomzo, they've been under the radar for a lot of today, but they've been very, very consistent. And now that consistency really needs to pay off. Just one more game, boys. And for Fukun, he's got the team on his back here as well, just to try and find their way into that top 7. Look who's on height, though. The French favorites, Momsy and Skyjump, looking on down at the rest of the lobby. They want to end as they began, with a victory royale here in Game 10.
I could have closed my eyes and just listened to the crowd and figured out who this was on high ground. They go crazy every single time, just like Fukun. This guy is holding on to their chances single-handedly as Victor V finds another elimination, but he instantly burns through a lot of those siphon materials just to stay alive here. With teams in front, this is where you really separate the difference between players here. It's Gone and Knight. They're the ones that are in the path as well. They're the ones that you really have to watch out for in the rest of this endgame.
Gone and Knight They need to try and break into it. This is a good game for them. They've had a big one just recently as well. Can they have another 5 eliminations for them? They're trying to get into the box. Salco does a decent amount of damage, but he does escape. Gon, unfortunately, going down to the storm. Knight has to try and make his way in. Goes for height here as well, but only one build. Has to settle for low ground, and so weak in the process. Iomzo losing Josh here as well. This is an awkward situation for him now.
There are way more than enough points on the board for them to try to catch up until now. Gon and Knight have just been eliminated as well. I'm not even sure who's still in contention here, but for Iomzo, he just wants to end on top. Victor V wants to make sure that there's no regrets left after today's games, but it's Fukun here. This is the story. 320 points. He has the entire support of an entire region on his back right now. Can he do it?
Looking at that height, but decides to go back down towards the low ground. He's got a few builds to work with as well. Zone pulling over towards that west, gets ahead of everyone else as well, but he's got to be careful. A couple of teams there down on the low ground, and this is awkward here for Fukun, trying to play sneaky in between all these builds. Only 2 builds on his own. There goes Iomzo as well. That Skyjump, the crowd go crazy right there. Victor V goes down right there as well to another solo in Fukun. He's going crazy right now in amongst all the chaos.
That's literally their next competition. That isn't team inside of the bubble. That's out. Fukun with everything on the line here. A solo towards the bottom. He takes down Skyjump. He is trying to qualify directly to the finals. We are witnessing history in the making.
Super strong. Even Spooks and Oatly defied expectations, I think you have to say, from especially, of course, Oatly's first land, quite famously his first land. They don't look too pleased, but let's have a look at this leaderboard. He's done it!
What?
Fukun and Mini Poyo, they make their way into the top 7 via a huge solo clutch from Fukun.
He deserves all the credit in the world. He may not have won that game, but tonight he is definitely going to feel like a winner. We also have Elite Esports Josh and Iomzo. We got Dignitas, his Victor V and Kanata, and again, Victor V with a solo clutch.
Huge moments for Victor V right now. I know Pops is in the background absolutely vibing. He's loving it right there.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for your teams as they enter the stage one final time, starting with Skyjump and Momsey!
Good connection here is going to help them hold strong, and the RPGs too. Teeny is just causing so many issues for everybody stuck underneath.
Yeah, making sure to reconnect, fortify their position up above. Zone is pulling far, so all it takes is one team to look up and start to create some havoc, but Vico Malabuka have their hands full in that mid layer. Looking to the head side of zone, see Sky, see Scroll, you see so many teams, but they're just trying to formulate the strategy. How do we want to play this? Crash Pad or Shockwave? They choose the first of the two, make their way to the front and reposition themselves again. But look at the distance that Shark and Teeny have built so high in the sky.
And that's the problem for Vico and Malabuka. The moment that they try to navigate towards that front side, they're immediately getting pieced up by height. Teeny, though, losing a good chunk of his HP because Z-Dog's decided he wants to try and take it for himself. The land down under no longer headed straight for the high ground. Yasin and Salvatore going to fall. Vico now left in dire straits here. Malabuka trying to see what he can collect, but Shark and Teeny have managed to push back against Oceania.
Everybody down below is being ripped apart from their duos. We're barely into the top 15. Make it 13 as they're dropping like flies as of now. 12 teams still in the game, Peterbot being one of them. We talked about yesterday the 2 group stages, a slow start to their race, but they are definitely picking up the pace as of now. But he is out of builds, almost hoping for a miracle to keep himself alive, and it's not going to be granted.
Instead, all he's going to get is Shark delivering rocket after rocket from the high ground. Malabuka also trying to see if he could conceal his position just a couple seconds longer, but cold and rapid. 4 eliminations already. We know exactly what they're capable of. Now it's just time to deliver. Malabuka needs to connect a shot, gets one onto Victor V, but it's not the knock, it's not the elimination he needs. Somebody else steals it away instead, and that's going to be AGAL, Sky and Scroll.
Even Momsey getting an elimination here, but 6 here for Sky and Scroll. AGAL, a slow start to their day. 0 points in game number 1, and they are putting on a show here, just like Cold. 7 HP. We know what this man is capable of in some of the biggest moments in his career, but he's still going up against duo after duo. In fact, he's the only solo left alive.
And Sky and Skrull are not making it easy. They find Cold, and just like that, it'll be the end of the run here for Twisted Minds. But Sky, Skrull, they're not finished. They're continuing to clash. Cammy Hari might just be next, but it's the front side position. Shark and TD know it. That's going to be their next plan of attack. Shark's going to begin to descend. He's ready to drop down. Sky has no idea. And just like that, Shark finds his first onto Sky. Skrull, what are you going to do?
Stay out of these waters. This is Shark's territory. Now it's a 2v1. Momsy goes down. The aura is real from Team Aurora Gaming. Shark and Teeny steal game 2.
Shark and Teeny just are so cool, calm, and collected every step of the way. For a moment.
Get one for the time being. Now has the Storm to deal with as well. It's not just other players, it's the Storm. And now he's dwindling in terms of that white HP as well. Plenty of bills for Malabuka to actually make his way into the zone, but he needs to try and find some of that Cypher. No white HP effectively on Malabuka. Just needs to try and find one big shot, one opportunity to stay in this game, because remember, no placement points, no points at all for that team yet.
Yeah, definitely. The mechs, though, on Malabuka to move right there. Definitely impressive to say the least. Meanwhile, Romero is trying to stay alive here and earn as much more than he can by himself. Izzy and Nosif, though. Francis on their back. A big pop from the crowd as they see their favorites going for height. The Izzy buff is real. Meanwhile, Sky and Skrull, AGAL, a lot riding on the line here. Millions of dollars separate them on the club championship leaderboard. This can go any way. Sky Skrull, though, still 0 elims, nothing earned just yet. Finally, 16 positioning points starting to come in here. Peterbot, Pollo, what's the loadout looking like? Still plenty to work with. Good amount of mats. They're at second layer as well. They're thinking about it.
And crucially here, they're together as a duo in the end game, hoping that they can keep that going throughout the rest of this game as well. Lots of chance for Izzy and Nosif in the crowd right here. Peterbot gets surprised, left his wall open for a little bit too long right there, as Malabuka is the one that goes down there in the feed as well. So Vika Malabuka, I don't think got any points out of that game. Shark and Teeny, though, had to get relegated down towards that low ground. Izzy and Nosif took it off them, but these are the guys that can really make those high ground plays at the most efficient times. They're waiting in the wings. They're waiting for their opportunity to pounce. And for Shark and Teeny, they know when to do it.
Yeah, definitely, but you can't make any mistakes now. You see, you're gonna get punished if you drop the ball here and now. Team still alive. Shark, Teeny, Skyjump, Mumsy, Izzy, and Nosif on high ground. Swizzy and Pixie are still in this game too, so the points are adding up here. Sky and Skrull working their way through the layers now. Bolts is gonna fall to Pablo Wingu there. Sky and Skrull, still no eliminations here this late in the game. Pollo takes down Pixie. That's a big elim as well. Now, big scrappy fight though. Sky gets caught there by Acorn, caught in between the crossfire. Cold and Rapid 2 are at 4 eliminations now.
Cold and Rapid need a huge game. That's how it's done. Catching Sky off guard right there on the low ground. Cold and Rapid, they're looking to prove that they can win games, to silence the doubters and to keep plowing through this lobby. Peterbot drops in the box as well, trying to find a shot. Doesn't quite get the elimination. Still full HP though, gets back towards Pollo, who does actually pick up Fukun, and now these guys are keeping on going.
That's the biggest and most important elimination they could have gotten. That's the refresh that Peterbot and Pollo needed to get back in the game, but now you have a problem. The problem is Shark and Teeny are comfortable. Skyjump and Mumsy also have their refresher, and Peterbot and Pollo didn't get enough material from that, so they're gonna be likely forced into the low ground. Pollo kind of leading the charge here. Peterbot playing Fragger right now. Izzy and Nosif playing the you cannot take my high ground strategy. Victor V, Kanata in the low ground. Rapids down to a single shot. Victor goes in for it. A huge elimination now for Victor and Kanata. This is going to end up being a clash now for Momsy. Skyjump into Peterbot and Pollo.
It's Peterbot and Pollo trying to play those mid-ground layers as well, trying to get as many of those elims as possible, make the most of this game. Shark and Teeny still in this lobby as well, a little bit timid compared to everyone else, and Shark takes down Peterbot. 2 Titans going head-to-head, and Shark comes out on top right there. They just can't get that refresh. Material starting to dwindle. Players coming on down. Momsy crashing into the top of the box of Teeny and Shark, but look who's still up on high. It is Izzy, it is Nosif. They're miles above the rest of the lobby, not even giving Teeny and Shark an opportunity to look up, but Shark and Teeny, they're looking, they're assessing, they're looking to see what they can do next. They're dropping on down, tumbling on through. Huge shot right there. Nosif goes down though. Izzy has to stay alive.
This is crazy. Shark is still in it though. He ends up falling. It's up to Teeny. Teeny's on the the siphon, but it's not going to be enough. Izzy is even surprised himself. He couldn't believe he managed to stay alive there. In the end, what a fight.
Yet. Sky and Scroll as well, looking for any opportunity. Zone is pushing players further towards the north, but it's not up the mountain just yet.
The minigame battle for height is about to kick off here, though, knowing that Shark and Teeny are just not going to really be too big of a participant because Shark by his lonesome challenging Slizzy and Pixie is going to be a problem here, but Momsy and Skyjump, an issue entirely of themselves in the low ground. Pete and Poyo, all these differing layers, Jacob, just starting to get very messy.
Yeah, especially if you don't really have a sense of what's going down on each one of those layers. So Shark finally runs out of his material. Zone actually opens up in his favor, a blessing in disguise for Shark as he goes right back to the cone. It is going to be wood. Relatively easy to see through, but let's see what tricks Shark has up his sleeve.
When everybody is just scrambling over each other, though, that's where the opportunity to strike could really present itself here. Shark even feeling like he might be able to play through a little bit of healing methods here, but Pete, Poyo, they've decided to make their way up. It's all about whether or not Peterbot can actually take down Pixie instead. He'll opt to just prioritize high ground control, but they know it's only a matter of seconds before Swizzy and Pixie potentially look to chop him out and re-challenge, but Pixie paying the ultimate price on his way down.
Shots from above. They make sure to hit every single point of damage, even without the actual knock, to make sure they see some sort of success. Hari and Cammy underneath, but they're on a mid layer, trying to make sure to clear it out. Peterbot, Poyo finally get their high ground overtaken. They are burning through material. They're burning through their resources as well. Sky and Scroll have officially been eliminated out of this game. 16th place Taco, no placement for them.
But how far can Falcons, Peterbot, and Poyo truly fly? Aurora Shark also trying to make sure that he can build as many placement points. Is he nearly falling? But Shark won't be able to finish it off. He's still got to keep trying to find different opportunities, and they are just running ever so thin here because Pete and Poyo are just forcing everybody to hide.
And while they're taking names and crossing them off the list, Izzy and NoSip are going to get that elimination onto Shark, but it's not without sacrifice. Izzy has gone down. A few solos left in this game, and NoSip is feeling the pressure of being one of those few, but luckily for him, he spots a bit of loot outside of the zone, sacrificing a little bit more HP to make sure he grabs it for himself, but Peterbot and Poyo, or I say just Peterbot now, still battling out for the high ground, but he doesn't have material. He has to concede.
And the drop down, he might be able to snag an elimination on his exit, but Vico Malabuka, that's exactly who he might have to fare with next. They've actually done a great job at holding on to that low side control. Granted, they fully understand they're going to need to start making their way up. They're going to need to start finding more eliminations, but Faded and Khan cutting Pete short in his tracks.
Oh my, Momsy! Fourth elimination, and when he needs it most, getting the siphon, getting the shield, able to use the medkit to buy him that much more time, but Yassine is up above. Malabuka, Vico, they did not get the memo, and they send them right back to where they came.
And Vico's trying to take out Pixie all the while. Yes, it's just taking out chunks of Vico's HP. He will be able to play the medkit temporarily. Mini Pio also still kicking, but look at what Momsy's been able to accomplish. 4 eliminations, Cammy and Hari sitting on 5, but they're still not done. They're hunting down these last couple of opponents here in this ultimate low ground, looking back, just waiting for the moment to strike.
And this is that moment. They're the only duo left in this game, but one of the solos is Momsy. We know what type of run he's been on so far, and he's bobbing and weaving, dodging all he can until eventually Hari takes him out, but now it's all solos. Cammy has fallen, so it's anybody's opportunity.
And Vico hoping that nobody realizes where he's at, but how much HP does he really have to work with? Doesn't have any build, so that'll be the end of it for Hari. The siphon materials, Vico waiting to close this one out. Salvador not going to be able to connect. Vico hoping, but it's a dodge.
And Momsy currently sitting atop of the leaderboard. A really impressive day so far, but obviously still plenty of action to come. Momsy, let's start things with you. How does this lobby feel in comparison to the group stage?
Si tu compares un petit peu au group stage, comment est-ce que c'est le niveau de ce lobby là actuellement?
Je m'attendais à un niveau quand même un petit peu plus élevé.
I was waiting for a little bit better than this.
Finalement, pour le moment, ça se passe bien. On espère continuer sur cette lancée et au final soulever le trophée. Hein.
Yeah, so for now we are doing good, and it's kind of more easy than what we thought. So we hope we're gonna do the same, and we got at the end just leave the trophy.
It's been a really impressive performance so far. Has there been any strategy changes for you guys coming into today, or are you guys just feeling yourselves at this point?
Est-ce que vous avez changé un peu les strats par rapport au jour d'avant ou est-ce que vous êtes resté sur le même style de jeu que vous avez proposé au group stage?
On est plutôt resté sur le même. Après, voilà, c'est différentes games. Ouais, différentes games. On prend des kills à certains endroits, à certains moments. Je peux pas savoir quand tu vas les prendre. Et de toute façon, là, pour le moment, ça se passe bien. Et on n'a rien changé au game plan. On suit juste comment on joue.
So our strategy is kind of the same, but of course every game is different. So we never know where we're gonna get kills or what will be the rotation, of course. So we just adapt each games, but the game plan is still the same. Like play the best as we can and follow what we used to do.
Well, let's talk about the format then a little bit coming into today, because in the next few games, we're going to quickly be approaching match point format. Does that feel like today could bring it to be a little bit easier, or is it going to make things a little bit harder later in the day?
Alors là aujourd'hui on a je vais te poser la question à toi du coup BG, on a un espèce de format un peu particulier avec le match point. Quand on atteint les 350 on peut avoir une victoire. Est-ce que pour toi du coup c'est plus facile de gagner par rapport au jour d'avant, ou au contraire ça peut être vraiment un format qui vous met à l'aise ou pas à l'aise? Comment tu le vis ce format?
Bah ouais, moi je trouve que le format il est excellent, jouer comme ça. Ça change rien au niveau des top 1, c'est toujours aussi difficile ou facile entre guillemets avant d'avoir le match point, mais une fois que ça arrivera vers game 7 et 8, ça sera beaucoup plus compliqué je pense.
I really like this format. I think for now it's not changing a lot because no one is in match point, but of course it's still really hard to have a victory royale, and maybe when someone will have match points, the game will change a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we're all thinking backstage. Well, with bated breath. But you know what? Finally, we've got the French fans here. They're having a great time. Is there anything that you would like to say to them? Because every time we say your guys' names, the crowd goes crazy.
À chaque fois qu'on dit vos noms, les gens ils deviennent complètement fous. Tu voulais leur dire un petit truc peut-être aux fans français qui vous écoutent?
Les gars, j'entends plus Falcon que nous, je trouve que c'est pas normal. Donc va falloir faire un peu plus de bruit pour les prochaines games, s'il vous plaît.
Guys, I mean, I can hear the Falcons are too close to me, so I can hear more than Falcons fan than you. So you guys have to make some noise for us. So please, mesdames et messieurs, faites du bruit pour votre duo français.
That's what we like to hear. Back to you guys.
Factor to actually contemplate, because Monzi, Skyjump, Hari, Cammy, all of these teams, Swizzy and Pixie too.
Simply put, as long as they win, 0 eliminations or not, they will win the entire thing as Momsy Skyjump find their 5th elimination of this game onto Izzy. And Izzy so far in this early game, and you can kind of see what their strategy is with that launch pad. They want to dodge a good portion of this end game when it comes to it.
Ooh, but Skyjump and Momsy, they're not trying to allow any other contenders to throw their names into the hat. 9 is already too much company on this leaderboard. Josh, Andy, Yamzo are on their last legs here. Skyjump and Momsy quickly closing in. Yamzo doing everything in his power, but he just can't escape it. There won't be any 6 points for them.
Teams are still up, so no placement points just yet. Just setting the goal on the path for them. Shark and Teeny, they go ahead and rotate to the front side of the zone, bypassing a lot of the teams that are not yet ready to make their move. Pete, Poyo, they're going to the side of the mountain. Darm, Demus up in front. Skyjump, Momsy underneath. And this is now where teams are getting smushed closer and closer together like a can of sardines.
Look, if everybody's got the same idea, and someone's gonna also have to be the first to get crunched in the middle of it. Shark, Teeny trying to avoid that at all costs. They've been fighting a separate battle entirely for the rest of this lobby because they were the first ones to even achieve that match point threshold, and to still be stuck all the way down to game 13. 4 additional lobbies. Cammy has been taken out. No reboot available. Vico and Malabuka putting themselves one step closer to potentially achieving that match point finish.
Ari thought things were going to be okay. Now that the dust has settled, they found his teammate, but Muzz and Sphinx get found out as well. Kind of a combination of Chino, Pablo, Darm, Demus from 2 different angles. Going to angle him out of the lobby. They've had enough of his back-to-back wins. They had enough of the disruption. Now, Taco, there's about only 6 teams that can prolong this entire tournament. There's more teams on match points still in this game than there are hopefuls to bring us to match 14.
And no matter how stacked the odds might be against it, Jacob, it's just knowing that that 1% even existing is going to be sitting in the back of every single one of our match point threshold teams. and it's just going to cause so many complications. If not now, then when? But Shark, Teeny, sending it one more time. They're on the high ground. Lewa and Romero under a lot of duress. Minipio and Fukun just trying to evade the line of sight here from Shark and Teeny. They won't be able to get what they're looking for just yet, but Khan, finally, he's going to receive the most damage. He'll be forced to try and sift to a lower layer. Frontside position going to be very difficult to maintain.
Shark is literally just destroying everybody, rotating through the sky. Victor V, Kanata also feeling a little bit of that pain. Nobody has a chance to look up just yet, other than Dharma and Demas, but they're more than just looking up. They're trying to smoothly fly from one zone to the next, wait to see where it goes before they drop down. You have to be very, very careful, Taco. We're starting to enter into different elevation changes throughout this next zone.
Respect the hustle out of Hari, though. The fact that he's still up and running. Kanata and Victor V. Could this be the heist of the century if they'd be able to steal this one away from one of these European or international teams that have been leading for so long on the leaderboard? But Salva, Yasin, they managed to escape Shark and Teeny, but now Shark Teeny maybe a little bit pressed. They'll opt to heal. Flowberry Fizz waiting for that moment to drop. Biko Malabuka, they're gonna keep looking down because Shark, Teeny, as long as they're airborne, it's going to be very difficult for Yasin and Salvatore to actually escape, but Teamish and Darm, no worries whatsoever, just staring down the competition in the sky.
That's something they planned up until here, carrying those extra launch pads in their inventory, mixing it with the Flowberry Fizz, just staying away from this part in the game, and you can see exactly why. Even Shark and Teeny, who are once on high ground, they have been overthrown. Cammy and Hari have been officially eliminated after this game. They're hoping that somebody else win the game, and that somebody else could be Falcon's very own Pete and Poyo.
Because it certainly doesn't look like Shark and Teeny are going to be able to get the job done. Victor V, though, taken out. Biko Malabuka starting to come online here. Teeny is down. Shark maybe still up in the running, but with Kanata as a solo left to fend for himself, all of these teams, 7 of them still trying to keep the hopes alive for that match point.
Relatively loosely, because a couple of those teams are going to be stuck to just solos here, but top 14 placement points starting to set in. Peterbot and Poyo have officially been chopped down. Dharma and Demas are going to be positioned underneath, but they don't make a play for it. So for Pete and Poyo, they're going to be able to stand their ground, but how long can they hold those 10 toes down?
Malabuka, they're still holding down this mid layer. They haven't opted for the high ground just yet, but Shark is out of it. Shark and Teeny eliminated one more time. They'll be praying that this goes to a match 14, but with Darm, Deemish, Biko Malabuka, Swizzy, Pixie, and so many others still left in the running. Momsy's all by himself, though. Skyjump won't be able to participate. He can't breathe the revive either, so now Momsy trying to hide it out, but everyone's looking his way. He's running through materials so rapidly, he's going to be forced to drop here.
4 match point teams out of this game. Darm and Demas beginning to feel the struggle, but they are able to take down Poyo as well. Not sure if Peterbot is still alive, but no, he's going to fall. Rapids going to fall. Swizzy and Pixie at the perfect time have taken the high ground. There's not too many teams that have a chance to look up, but Momsy gets a crucial elimination on the mini PO to stay alive.
Momsy just needs that siphon to start kicking in, but the problem is, even with Swizzy being so high up above Jacob, they don't have that much material. They're going to be forced to drop eventually, but Sky and Squirrel, they've been eliminated. They were able to do just enough, though. They're technically on that match point threshold. Should this go any further, Yasin, Pablo, Chino, the only ones that could possibly delay this one step further. But Lewa, Vico, Malabuka, Pablo, he's trying everything in his power to shut this one down, but Pixie and Swizzy, they're gearing up for the win.
They're just looking down. They're raining fire from above. Top 4 situation. Vico, Malabuka, they're still looking strong down below. There's only 2 players in this game that can force a match 14. That's Chino, and now he's by himself because Yassine has been dropped to the backside of the zone.
But Pixie and Swizzy, they don't have any more material. They've got to drop. The fall damage is going to be so problematic. Vico and Mally, they've still got a little bit to work with. They're running on fumes, but it might just be enough. Vico goes up. He throws out the overdrive. Swizzy and Pixie are set packing. The storm will do the damage. Vico just needs one more. It's right in his grasp, and he takes it. Back-to-back land winners.
They have done it. Vico and Malabuka, for one of the first times in the history of competitive Fortnite, have won back-to-back major lands.